All right, so here's how to find the property. So here's the best website that I recommend using to find your property that you want to go for with. So I do like Zillow.com, and the reason why I chose Zillow.com is just because they simply have the most properties on their platform. They're synced with other platforms such as like HotPads, and there's one more. I think it's Trulia. There's one more, but they're already synced with those platforms. So whatever you see on HotPads is going to be on Zillow already, and so there's no point of even using HotPads when HotPads doesn't include as many properties as Zillow does. So just go to the source, go to Zillow, and that's where you're going to be able to find the most inventory. Now, in order to go ahead and start your property search, let's just say you're doing rental arbitrage, you're just going to go to Zillow.com and just select the city that you're looking for, select the budget, and you should have a specific budget that you set, and I'll discuss that later on. But there is a budget that you should stick to in regards of your rent. You're going to basically just kind of select all your criteria, like the amount of rent you're willing to pay, and then of course like the amount of bedrooms you need, the minimum, maximum. You're going to want to search for single family homes. That's what you're looking for, which is what I recommend. And if you want to get a furnished home, you should type in furnished in the keyword search, which I strongly recommend. Look, even if you have a lot of money, get it furnished, okay? Just leverage your money. So I recommend typing in furnished. Of course, this will drastically reduce your options, but it's still worth it, you know? So I think it's better to maybe get a property. Maybe it takes a little bit longer for you to get a property, but it's furnished. I would say that's better than getting a property that's unfurnished, in my opinion. From there, you're going to go ahead and select the properties that you're interested in, you know, based on all that criteria, based on what pops up here. And you're going to want to text the owner the script that I gave you. So text in the script and make sure that you have the real number of the owner, because Zillow does, usually they're going to give you a fake robot number so the real owner's number isn't exposed. But sometimes it's the real owner's number. So you kind of have to figure out what is the owner's number before you can text them, just because the text is going to kind of send you through like a AI prompt, and you're not gonna be able to actually communicate with the owner through text if it's like the robo number that, you know, Zillow kind of generated for the owner. So in order to determine the owner's real phone number, what I like to do is I like to go to truepeoplesearch.com and I type in the address of the property, and then I find the owner's name. So I scroll through True People Search the options and I look for the owner's name. So I would say that most of the time is there. Sometimes you won't find it, but most of the time it's there. Click on their name and you're gonna be able to see their phone number pop up. So that is the number. Now the newest one, I would say that's the best one. So whatever the newest number is the best one to text. And I would say that is accurate a lot of the time. Not every time, but that is a good choice for, you know, a lot of the time. So once you get this number, you're gonna go ahead and text them the template of the script I gave you. Start that communication with them, answer their questions, you know, and start the viewing process. So this is the manual method. So the manual method is manually going to Zillow.com, scrolling through all the listings, looking at the listings that are listed by the owner, making sure that you see their name, then going to True People Search, you know, getting their number that way, and then manually sending them a text. All those steps are manual and all those steps can be automated. So let's discuss how to automate all those steps. To make this process, instead of it taking you hours to do that, it can take you literally like 15 minutes. So let's get into that. First, let's discuss how to automate getting all those listings from Zillow that are listed for rent by the owner. This is so that you don't have to scroll through Zillow and kind of find the ones that are listed by the management company and have to skip those, or the ones that are listed by the realtor and having to skip those. You only want to look at the listings that are listed by the owner so that you can get in direct contact with them. So let's discuss how to do that. To do this, you're going to want to use what's called a scraping tool. Now, a scraping tool essentially just collects data from a website and puts it all organized for you on an Excel sheet after it's done, you know, getting all the information from that website. So scraping is essentially what it's called. Now, there are some scraping tools for Zillow. So you can basically scrape all the listings with the criteria that you're looking for and then be able to get that all on an Excel sheet. The information that you can scrape could be, for example, the address, the link to the Zillow listing, the owner's name, the owner's phone number that's on the listing, the square footage, the rent amount, things like that. So you can do all of that just with really a click of a button. Now, Now for this tutorial, I will be using my scraping tool, but the scraping tools really work really similarly. So they're going to have instructions for you. If you don't have mine, then you can use another one potentially. So today I'm going to be showing you how to use my scraping tool. I made it with a developer who helped me kind of make it with my criteria in mind. So here's what we're going to do. Of course, first you're going to go to Zillow.com and then put in your criteria. So you're going to put in, of course, like the amount of bedrooms you want, the price range you want, all of that. If you want to look at furnished homes only, make sure you put that in the keyword search and then click enter. Once you set your criteria, you're going to, of course, download my scraping tool or another brand's if mine is not available yet. Then you're going to simply hit start extraction. And once you do that, it's going to be able to basically, go down the page like a human would, click on each listing, be able to get that data from each listing. And then once it's done, it's going to allow you to export to Excel. So then you can just press that button. It's going to download all the data that you need. Once you have this data downloaded, you're going to, of course, get rid of the ones that are listed by the management company, especially those, and also the ones that are listed by a realtor if you don't want to deal with the realtors, which I understand. Now, some of these listings are going to be listed by the owner's real number, and some are going to be the robo number that Zillow generated for them. So if you're cold calling these leads, then you can just use the number right there that's listed through Zillow. You call them enough times, they're going to pick up. You're going to be able to get in contact with them regardless. However, if you want to text these leads and you don't want to call them, there are going to be some robo numbers that you have to kind of sort out. And so what I like to do is if I want everything in bulk and I want it fast, then I'm going to actually just pay to skip trace all those leads at one time. Skip tracing is pretty much just when you collect a person's personal information. It could be their phone number, email, address, things like that. So there's platforms that you can use to do this for you, and it's all automatic. So my favorite scraping tool is batch skip tracing. I do like batch skip tracing just because of the price, and they seem to have pretty accurate information compared to others. There are some cheaper ones out there, but they don't get accurate data as much. So some can only pull 60% of the leads that you give them. I want to say batch skip tracing probably is able to pull, get me at least 95% of the leads that I ask it to get me. And then based on what I've been through, it seems like the numbers are pretty accurate. So I like them. So right now, what you can expect to pay is 7 cents a lead. The price can change by the time you're watching this video. I would recommend just doing your research and figuring out which company you want to go with. I like to go by price, but also accuracy. If I know that for a company, they're not going to give me a lot of accurate leads, then it's not worth me paying a really cheap price just because I need to be able to text as many people as I can. So just consider that when you're kind of gathering quotes. So once you've exported that CSV file that you did when you scraped Zillow, now you're going to visit batchskiptracing.com, create an account, and then you're going to click on bulk skip trace, and then you're going to just upload your CSV file, and then you're basically going to be able to have them generate those phone numbers for you. Next, you're going to want to map out the data. Now you're going to want to map out just the address. Just map out the property address, zip code, city, state, and that's all you really need to do. Skip everything else and then go ahead and go to next. And I like to name my list of usually today's date and where the leads came from in order for me to kind of organize everything as well. From then you're going to wait until it's finished downloading, and then you're going to go ahead and be able to download the leads that it was able to generate for you. Now, a good rule of thumb is to delete the landlines that they give you and just only text those mobile numbers that they're going to give you, because they are going to give you a handful of numbers over the years that each individual has owned in the past. Just make sure you pick the most recent number, and then if it's a landline, don't use it. Use the mobile numbers. So I want to show you how to actually organize that export of the batch skip tracing lead so that you're only viewing the most recent mobile numbers of each person. So let's get into that. Right, so let's get into the steps that you should take after you're done exporting your batch skip tracing. All right, so let's explain these next steps. I'm going to show you a tutorial so that you can see what I'm doing on my screen as well. So let's start with these columns. The first thing you're going to do is delete all these columns. And then you're going to find their numbers, the number type I meant. Then you're going to sort A to Z. And then you're going to find all the people whose first number that they have, their most recent number is their mobile number. You're going to copy all those numbers and then paste them on another sheet within the same sheet. Then you're going to go back to that original sheet, download, and delete those numbers. All right, so we're going to do the same thing again. We're just going to repeat this over and over again. So we're going to copy those mobile numbers, create another sheet, paste them on the other sheet, go back to the original sheet, delete, and delete that down there too. Then we're going to do the same thing again. And then we're going to sort A to Z, get their mobile number, copy, create another sheet, paste. And then once I got to this level, I usually just kind of stop, because those few left, I don't feel like it's worth my time. Let me explain the point of doing this. The point is that you want to be able to contact the most recent mobile number only. What you have to do if the landline happens to be the most recent number of that person and not a mobile number, you got to delete that landline and go to their next most recent number, which hopefully will be a mobile number. If that happens to be another landline, then you have to go to their next most recent number and go so on and so on. So you basically want to get the most recent phone number that is a mobile number at the same time. So that's the point of doing all of that. Now, this will create a little bit more work for you because you're going to have to now import all these leads into a platform and bulk text them. So let's get into that next step of bulk texting. Probably figured out that bulk texting is texting in bulk. What you want to do is you want to find a platform that allows you to text, like hundreds of individuals within a certain time frame. So my platform of choice happens to be REI Reply. I figured that one is the most affordable one I can find. Each text message starts at, I want to say 0.008 cents for like a sentence, but other platforms are charging like 0.01 cents per text message. So the prices do change, but it's a very affordable price. Now, when I'm texting in bulk, I'm not texting a sentence. I'm texting like a paragraph. That paragraph is going to cost more than a sentence. So basically, the longer your text is, the more you're going to be paying. So with REI Reply, when you create an account, you're going to go to your templates. And then while you're creating your template of what you want to say, you're going to basically be able to see in real time what the cost is going to look like because they have something right here at the bottom. You can see, what you can expect to spend. You should kind of calculate ahead of time what your budget is going to be and what you're willing to spend because this is all going to add up. When you get responses and replies, you're going to have to pay for that too. Maybe for each reply, you can expect to spend 0.008 cents. Cheaper costs, of course, because it's just a few characters. All right, y'all. So I got my laptop here with me and we're going to demonstrate how to import leads through REI Reply and then how to send bulk text messages. So let's get started. So first we're going to download the CSV file. And then I made a test dummy one for y'all. Then we're going to import the lead that we got. Then we're going to match up the columns. They kind of already figured what the matches were here. So you kind of got to match up what's in the system and then what you labeled on your sheet here. Yeah, you see they did actually a perfect job of doing that. Then you're going to click don't import data in unmatched columns. Next, then you're going to confirm all contacts have been consented. Submit. Click here to view progress. Now you're going to say show import. Now you're going to basically bulk text your leads by going to show imported and then select them. Let's just pretend I'm selecting all these, send SMS, okay, proceed, and then select your template that you created. So could be rental arbitrage proposal. It's gonna, go ahead and fill in the name and address for you. It's gonna have your spiel in there. You're gonna say action text. And then if you're sending quite a lot of text, so let's say you're sending 20 at a time, then you're gonna wanna send in drip mode. Drip mode is pretty much ensuring that your number doesn't get flagged as spam so that, if you text too many individuals at one time with the same number, it's going to mark it as spam. I would say you're going to want to send 2 text messages per minute per phone number, and then you're going to fill in this information. So just kind of say what times. I do recommend 9 to 5 Monday through Friday, just because that's when people are usually using their phone. Yeah, so batch quantity 2, repeat after 1 minute, and then you're going to want to send Monday through Friday. So you're going to want to select those dates, and then the times 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. And then of course, it's going to schedule it. But yeah, then you're just going to say send SMS right there. I'm not going to do it because I'm actually not trying to text these leads right now. So, but that is the process of doing it. Of course, you are going to have to purchase your phone numbers through REI Reply. So you want to purchase a handful of numbers, but it really depends on the amount of people you're texting. And I will put the details on how many you need in order to text X amount of people. The accurate number I'll put down here so you know how many phone numbers you need. I would say in this case, you're trying to look like you're a tenant. So you want to use a local number so that this person automatically kind of knows you're less likely to be a telemarketer. Now, out, I do recommend making sure that you're available to check your REI reply account when these text messages start. It's going to basically go ahead and send 2 text messages per minute through your account. You're going to be able to see the results of that. Now, the amount of time it's going to take, of course, because of the drip mode, it's going to depend on how many leads that you're texting that day. But this is a lot faster than manually sending text messages just because everything is already plugged in. So the contact's name and their address is already in the message. Now, this is automatically going to put people at ease when they see their name and their address beginning of the message. And so they know you're talking about your specific property, and that's even more reason for them to open up that message. So hopefully they're going to read through that and respond with, yes, I'm interested. And then you can kind of schedule a call from there. But yeah, that is the process of automating everything. So this is all really going to help you save us so much time, and you're going to be able to get around property really, really quickly. It will take you usually even a few days to get a handful of people interested. That's it. And I do recommend texting at least 100 people per day to get decent results. So of course, the more people you text, the better your results. But don't expect to be out here and text 5 people and think you're gonna have some results. You need to text 100 people per day to expect some decent results out of this.